Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be back again to teach another lesson about solving small problems. So last week we reviewed what's a big problem and what's a small problem, and we talked about a couple different strategies. This lesson, we're going to talk about 9 strategies to solve problems. So I hope this lesson is going to be really helpful, even more helpful for you than the last one, because we're going to talk about 9 strategies that you can use. And hopefully you'll have some ideas of things you could use even this week to try to solve some small problems on your own. So really quick, let's review a little bit about what we learned last week. So a big problem, show me a big problem, is something that is scary, it might be dangerous or unsafe. Remember that you always report big problems to a trusted adult and get adult help. Small problems, show me a small problem, is a problem that you are strong enough and smart enough to solve on your own. So small problems could be disagreements, arguments with a friend, maybe someone is making noises during work time that's distracting you, or someone isn't sharing. Maybe you and your friend want to play something different at recess. I'm going to have your teacher push pause so you can give a couple examples of small problems without using any names. Okay, so sounds like we really understand the difference between a big problem and a small problem. All right, so these are all 9 of the strategies we're going to learn to solve small problems. So I'm going to read all 9 of them to you, and then we're going to quickly go through each one just to do a quick learning about them. And then each week in the morning the weekly announcement video, I will talk about one strategy at a time and we'll learn a little bit more about it. But today, I just want to show you all of them so you can see all of the different options for solving a problem. So our first one, wait and cool off, go to another game, talk it out, share and take turns, ignore it, walk away, tell them to stop, apologize, and make a deal. Okay, so last week we learned 3 of these. We talked about the strategy, tell them to stop, walk away, and ignore it. So telling them to stop, just a quick review, maybe you have tried to ignore someone and it just isn't working. Telling them to stop works if you do it right. So in an assertive voice, in a polite voice, you will get close to the person, look them in the eye, and say in a firm voice, please stop. So walking away is a choice that often goes with ignoring. So you need to maybe move away from someone who is teasing you. And this just means if you need to walk away, that you are smart enough and strong enough to walk off and that you are in control. So you don't want to stomp away. You want to appropriately walk away and remove yourself from that situation. Ignore it. So look at this frog in the illustration. This frog is ignoring a problem by not looking and not listening. So you can think of a list of things that you might be ignoring. So maybe it's teasing or name calling, lots of different things that you might ignore. Okay, our next strategy, the new one that we didn't learn about yet, is go to another game. So think about all the different games that we have at recess. And maybe there's some that you usually play at recess or at home. Maybe there's some that you play the same game every day. So can you think of a time when your favorite game wasn't as much fun because somebody was cheating or because the rules kept on changing? Sometimes we get stuck in the habit of doing something even if it's not fun. So when there are too many small problems in a game, it might be time to switch to another game. This does not mean that you are a quitter. It just means that you're smart and you want to have fun. So going to another game might be a great strategy to just solve a problem. All right, the next one is share and take turns. Our next strategy is called share and take turns. So this one is super important because there are a lot of objects that we might have to share at school or at home. So think about the objects that we share. When I'm thinking of that, I'm thinking of things at recess, like maybe the slide we have to take turns going down, the monkey bars, maybe the bars that everybody likes to flip on at recess. So think about what are some other objects that we have to share. I'm going to have you push pause and think about those objects. Okay, now think about how you can share and take turns at school or at home. One of the things that you might do is politely ask to use the object. And then taking turns means you maybe are patiently and quietly waiting your turn until it's time that you get to share. All right, our next one called Talk It Out. And this is one that we're going to learn a lot more about throughout the year too. But just a quick overview of talking it out is when both people get to explain their side and have each person be a listener. And then you switch. So the other person gets to explain their side while the other person listens. This choice will only work if the two people are willing to listen to each other. Sometimes we're not ready to talk it out. Maybe if we're in the red zone or maybe even the yellow, we need to do some sort of a coping strategy or use a tool in our toolbox to help us get calm before we go and try to talk it out with somebody. So make sure before you talk it out that you are back in the green zone, you're feeling more calm, and you're ready to talk. So for example, a student's feelings might get hurt if a friend jokingly called them a name. So the student might say, I feel hurt when you call me names. Can you please stop? That's an example of how you can start talking it out. So these sentence stems are I feel, when, and please. And you can use these when you're talking it out with somebody. If you've ever come in my office and talked it out with another student, you might have used this before too. So you might already be an expert on this. I'm going to push pause and I will have you practice with a partner talking it out. Great job. All right, our next one, apologize. So for this strategy to work, the apology needs to be sincere. That means you actually really have to mean it. Sometimes when we say sorry, we might just say sorry and walk away, or we're not really looking at the person, or we're not ready to say I'm sorry yet. So for this one to work, you need to really mean it, and the other person has to be ready to listen and be in a place where they're ready to maybe forgive you. So sometimes, just like with talk it out, that means that you have to wait a day or two for things to cool down. So you can go up to someone and you can say when you're ready, I'm sorry. I'm curious if there are other phrases that you can think of when you apologize. I'm going to push pause and see if you have any other ways to apologize. Did you say things like, I didn't mean it, excuse me, or I apologize? Those are 3 other ways that you could say, I'm sorry, or apologize. Our next strategy is make a deal. So making a deal means that you might lose a little, but you gain a lot. It's like making a bargain or a compromise. So an example of making a deal might be that 2 friends want to play different games at recess. They lose a little when they make the deal because maybe they can't play the game they wanted to play for the entire recess, but they gain a lot because they get to have fun together and they get to continue having a great friendship. So I'm wondering if you can think of an example of when you might need to make a deal and what you would do to make the deal. So I'll give you a quick example first. So maybe both students want to use the same game during your choice time, but only one person can use that game or do that activity during choice time. Maybe you would play rock, paper, scissors, or you could pick a number between 1 and 10 to decide who gets to play that game. I'm going to have you push pause and give some examples of when you could use this strategy and then how you would use it. Would you play rock, paper, scissors? Would you pick a number between 1 and 10? Or do you have another idea? Go ahead and push pause. All right, our next strategy is wait and cool off. So if all else fails and a small problem has gotten you really upset, wait and cool off. You can go to a quiet spot and think about how you're going to solve the problem. And you can use some of those strategies. Remember when we talked about all the different tools that you can use if you're in the red zone, the yellow, the blue, or the green. So maybe you will use one of your coping strategies or tools in your toolbox to help you get calm. All right, I know this was a lot of strategies really quick, but we will learn more about them throughout the year. And each week I'll choose one strategy and we'll learn more about how to use that strategy to solve our small problems. I'm so excited to see you all starting to use these strategies on the playground, in the classroom, and even at home. And I'm going to be checking in and seeing what strategies you like the most and what works best for you, because different strategies work better for some of us than others. So I'm excited to hear your favorites. See you later.